Hello and welcome back to Oxventure presents Blades in the Dark. I'm Luke Westaway, the GM, and I'm joined by... Is that Edvard I see before me?
Oh, too kind, too kind. I do get recognised often because my face used to appear on the packets of Lumiere brand cough syrups.
How many places was that sold?
It was just the one place, and they did have to stop selling it because of the extraordinary amount of cocaine that was in it. Worked. I don't see what everyone's problem was.
No one was coughing anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone had bigger problems than coughing.
Honestly, an absolute storm in a teacup.
And doubtless enjoying such recreational medicines is Barnaby.
Hello! Yes, Barnaby the Butcher, Fortescue the Third at your service. Better watch out. Don't want to get butched.
Had absolutely wonderful user feedback is all I'll say.
I can confirm.
Really Moorish.
I gave it 6 stars out of 5, but I was quite incoherent at the time.
Yeah. Okay, well, we find Edvard and Barnaby having a discussion about this failed medicine. Not failed, tactically withdrawn from the market.
I told you, I don't have any more bottles.
Come on, you've got to help me here. I really need this stuff.
I was made to destroy them by the authorities, old man.
You must have squirreled some away. I know you, Edvard.
I dumped quite a lot of it into the pond in the park, probably.
Right, well, I'll see you there.
Okay. I mean, that is why all those fish died.
So you're saying I could eat the fish flesh and perhaps I would get some of the effect?
I mean, this was a while ago. If the fish bodies are still there, I doubt they're good eating, old man.
Okay.
Before you tell me where this conversation about your miracle elixir is taking place,
cocaine wine,
Edvard and
for tax purposes.
What have you been doing since we last saw you? What are your 2 downtime activities each?
What's our heat at?
Your heat is enormous.
Oh, really?
Really?
But
Yeah.
Zilla and Casimir said it went very well. They told us.
Well, I stopped listening immediately, but I assumed it.
Well, it did go well.
I said, how did it go? And they went, fine. And then they stormed off.
Your heat is at 2. Your wanted level is at 2. So you've only actually got 2 heat.
Oh,
so
okay.
not loads.
That's definitely more heat than we'd like, though, right?
Yeah, let me try and reduce that heat.
Yeah, sure.
Are we trying to still make a fuss, or are we not trying to make a fuss anymore? I suppose we've been...
I think at this point,
we have some leads now.
Yeah, you do have some leads.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're okay to reduce the heat a little bit. Okay, say how you reduce heat, Edvard, and roll whatever that action is, and then we reduce heat according to the result level.
I notice there are some wanted posters around with some not particularly close likenesses to the group, but you could probably figure it out if you knew us well. So I go around and I find every wanted poster I can find, and I add mustaches to everyone except my character, for whom I erase a mustache.
Yeah, perfect. They can never get the nose right. Yeah, cool. So whatever role you think that is.
Finesse, probably.
Yep.
I'd say. Oh no, it's a 1 and a 2. So.
Okay, well that means you clear 1 heat.
Yeah.
So yeah, so not without merit.
Nothing.
And your second downtime activity?
I would probably reduce some stress. I feel like.
Yeah, indulge that vice. So roll dice equal to your lowest attribute, and clear stress equal to your highest die result.
Yeah. So my lowest number is 3.
You indulge your vice, which is what? Remind me what your vice is, Edvard?
Cocaine wine. Of course. No, it's weird. So I find an old antiques shop down an old alleyway in the east end of the city, and I go through there and I hear a
You lick clocks or something.
No, well, I go through the old occult memorabilia looking for anything that interests me, and there's a sort of wizened monkey's paw there, which I purchase and I take home, and I make some unwise proclamations. I wish that Barnaby would have an interesting day, things like that, and then all sorts of chaos happens. Selfless. And then I take I took it back, but the shop had disappeared, and there was just a sort of a flat wall where it used to be. But I did find that quite interesting and invigorating. So it sort of it made me feel better. Although Barnaby, it sounded like you had a terrible day. Interesting though.
I developed a terrible cough.
Yeah, it was interesting though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So you can't say that it was a lie.
No. Yeah.
Well, maybe Barnaby has more interesting days ahead. Let's find out. Okay, so yeah, you cleared some stress there, Edvard. 3 stress. Barnaby, what are your 2 downtime activities?
Well, again, it seems sensible to try and reduce a bit of heat, doesn't it?
Yep.
So probably I'll do that.
Cool. The crew currently only has 1 heat now. To reduce your heat any further, you'd have to reduce a wanted level, and I'm pretty sure the only way to reduce a wanted level is for someone to go to prison.
Right. Not going to. Well, but does it have to be part of the crew? Because
you sent someone else to prison.
Yeah. What I was thinking was perhaps I could persuade one of my more gullible school friends
to go to prison for
just to perform an extremely big crime and claim to be the mastermind of the hobby horses. And
this is such a good idea.
I can just pay him off later on, probably.
Yes, that's a great idea. Let's do that.
What do I need to roll?
Let's say your wanted level comes down by 1, because I love this idea. Okay, so you've sent an old school friend to jail.
Yeah.
They claim to be the leader of the hobby horses, and it does indeed take the heat off the gang, to a fairly significant degree. Ultimately, it will be discovered that that they are in fact just a posh idiot who, for reasons unknown, has confessed to a crime. Let's say that costs 2 coin. 2 coin. Okay, that's reduced the gang's coffers a little bit. But yeah, great use. I'll tell you what as well, because if it's all right with you, Barnaby, I'd like to make that both of your downtime actions.
That's fine. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Now, I believe there was a conversation occurring about cocaine.
Oh yes.
Where is this conversation taking place?
Probably in the hideout, right? That's the only place I would be that Edvard would ever be seen.
Well, I'm by the fireplace in the library, just going through some tomes.
Well, it is a couple of days since Casimir and Zilla made their shocking discovery, which you will remember, of course, that the group that you were pursuing has a name, and the name is the Brightstone Society for Analytical Alchemistry, and had some kind of construction contract with none other than Amadeus Astor's.
Known. Of course it was Astor! Who else could have been behind a plan of this evil, of this dastardly machinations?
You're right, Edvard. He's terribly organised and rather on top of his business, isn't he? I'm starting to admire the guy, actually.
I angrily throw my whiskey tumbler into the fire.
It goes,
now you're wasting whiskey! What's wrong with you, man?
It goes woof, and you momentarily think you may have summoned an evil spirit, because a moment after the woof, there's a
no,
at the door.
not again.
Yeah.
Not this again. Lilith, can you get that?
Bizarrely, you two are the only ones in the house. Everyone else is out on an important adventure, probably.
Oh my.
Don't you have some sort of extending hand that can go and open the door for us?
Barnaby, what if it's some rum sorts?
Well, they might have brought rum, which would be an improvement, given that you've just thrown your whiskey in the fire.
But what if they're here to rough us up? I've read about these crime people. They come into your house and they rough you up.
Oh, fine. Look, it'll be fine. Don't you worry. Don't be so dramatic. I go and open the door.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I shift behind the chair.
At the door is a diminutive man, Barnaby, who you have never seen before.
Hello. Can you help me?
Yes, quite possibly. I am.
A laser sight appears on the man's forehead.
Is an extending hand about to swat him from across the...
I'm about to cock the extending hand. Boxing glove.
He is accompanied by 2 very burly looking bodyguards. One of them spots this laser sight and very matter-of-factly just moves in front of the small man.
I turn the dial so it says 3, and it sort of
It pans out
like that.
The diminutive person spotting this pops out from behind the bodyguard and says, I was looking for Mr. Edvard, but I see that he clearly is at home. This looks like one of his interventions I've no
Edvard,
doubt.
some friends of yours have just arrived. Do you want to take care of this? And I
drop
return to the
I
door.
drop a smoke bomb. And I cover myself in books.
The gentlemen at the door wait patiently for the smoke to dissipate.
I'm strolling back to the library, entirely disinterested in whether they're following me or not.
Okay, fine. Well, seeing as the door's open, I suppose Roth, for so it is, saunters in.
I so rarely answer the door, I don't realise that you actually have to shut it as well when people come in. So.
Roth, you remember Edvard as the person you blow-darted unconscious in Astor HQ. Stands looking around in the library, looking at the different piles of books. I know one of these is you, Edvard, but I don't know which one. I'll just start kicking them until I find it. And he walks up to a pile of books and just starts kicking the books. He's wrecking the books.
Hey! I struggle out of the pile of books. Stop kicking my books! What is it you want, Roth?
Found
you scoundrel. You want another blow dart, do you? I say, screwing together my blow dart apparatus.
I'd rather not. The hangover from the last one was really quite severe.
Hair of the
should
dog?
have gone into league with Astor, should you? Then lie down with dogs and you get fleas.
It's funny you mentioned my employer. He would like a word.
Yes, I imagine he probably would. What does he want? To steal more of my interventions?
No?
Well, guess what?
He
can't
merely
have
wants
them.
to meet with you in
Yeah.
a public location.
You know, I've rather been looking forward to meeting Astor, actually, so whereabouts can we meet?
Come along. Just by the office. Not in the office, just nearby.
Barney, I don't go and meet him. He's my arch nemesis.
Follow me, Barnaby. Edvard, you can come if you want.
I wear his picture in this locket around my neck as proof of my hatred for him.
Well, perhaps you can leave with a lock of his hair or something. Come on.
I don't want a lock of his hair. I want him to stop stealing my interventions and die in shame.
Well,
Be buried in a pauper's grave. Is that so much to us?
Roth brings out a little pocket watch and flicks it open and just says, we're at risk of being late for the appointment now. I did hope you would come quietly. And behind the two large burly gentlemen just sort of nonchalantly crack their knuckles.
You have why should give me a good reason why I should go and meet with my most hated enemy.
you could steal some of his ideas instead.
His ideas are already stolen. They're not his ideas.
You might have improved them and then you can re-steal them.
No. You'll have made them worse, if anything.
Also, I probably shouldn't be explaining this plan in front of these three, should I really?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Astor thought you might be reluctant to come along, Edvard, so he empowered me to show you this. And he reaches into a pocket and he pulls out the broken and dented but unmistakable hand of the wonderful mechanical man.
My WMM! What have you done to him, you swine? I say, lunging at the hand.
He puts it back in his pocket.
Roth, you diabolical.
As I say, my employer would like to have a friendly conversation in neutral space.
Fine.
Do you agree?
Yes, I will come along. Let me just get my things, I say.
And I will come
Return.
also.
I return with two valises clearly brimming with poisons and weapons.
Yeah, that's fine. I think Rose is probably expecting something like this. The bouncers actually help carry the valises.
Okay.
Smash cut 2. You have been taken to an upscale coffee house. It looks onto a broad square. On the other side of this square is Astor HQ. You remember it very clearly, Edvard. You've been inside it. In fact, you've jumped out the window of the back of it down into the river, upon which it faces, being as it is a large rectangular building built into a cliff overlooking the Volis River. Barnaby, you know of it, obviously. It's a landmark in Volisport, but you've never had the pleasure of being inside. And so across from this building, across the plaza, waiting for you is this upscale coffee house. The place has been completely cleared out for this meeting. Security folks wait on the outside door. They do pat you down and take the valises, I'm afraid.
My valises!
Your valises will be releases upon your exit. says one of them who clearly fancied himself a comedian and didn't want to go into this line of work at all. You are led inside, where on one side of a booth sits your hated rival, Edvard, Amadeus Astor, who looks up, nods in acknowledgement to both of you and gestures you sit down opposite him.
Well, I'm not sitting down until I've had a coffee, so I'm going to go over and get a coffee.
Yes, he gestures over to someone who's working there. It's the only person. It looks like the owner, and they look a little nervous. He just sort of gestures and points at you both, and immediately coffees are brought over. It's delicious. It's great coffee.
Don't drink it, Barnaby. It could be poison.
Yes, but I'm going to need to ask could we Irish up this coffee, please, if you catch my meaning.
He's probably already poisoned it up. Astored it up. That's what I call it.
Astor raises his eyebrows, but again makes another gesture, and a bottle of something that Barnaby, even at this distance, you can discern is very fine, is liberally topped up.
And now don't drink it, Barnaby. It's paid for with dirty money.
But that's very all well and good, Edvard. But I'm also going to need to Cuban up this coffee as well. Yeah. Please, if you catch my meaning.
Astor raises his hand again, and a box of extremely fine cigars, which everyone in the room is taking to be your meaning, opens the box. He also has a bottle of rum, and he's seems unsure, so he puts a cigar...
I point at both,
yeah, he puts a lit cigar into the coffee.
Yeah, fine.
That kind of hisses faintly.
Ireland and Cuba are areas of the city, are they?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they're
famous
both...
districts.
They're both canon in Geth. It's Johnny's problem now. Yeah, it is brought over to you. Mm-hmm. If you want to drink it, you can. Astor sits back. Edvard, you remember your last meeting with Amadeus Astor and his unbearable smugness?
I knocked him out with a single punch, Barnaby.
Oh, really? Oh, well, he seems surprisingly friendly, given your previous interaction.
Well, he probably doesn't want another one, does he?
I see.
Today, Astor wears an expression that is no less condescending, but perhaps is a little less smug and maybe a little bit more serious. And he says,
Spit it out, man. Why have you dragged us all the way down here? To steal my idea, to steal the coat off my back, is it? You want the coat off? Fine, maybe I'll give you the coat off my back, you weasel idiot. I say, struggling out of my coat.
Are you really giving him your coat?
This is how he operates, Barnaby. You wouldn't know.
I know a lot about losing coats.
Deal with honourable folk in your daily life. Well, and I throw it in his face.
Astor takes it off.
Happy now.
Hands it off to a security detail. They take it. It is taken. It is placed with the valises, and smoothed out and kept nice for you. Edvard, how have you been?
I think he's speaking to you, Edvard.
I thought we'd be fighting by now. What do you mean, how have I been? Been
Edvard,
consumed with rage over your shenanigans. You dastard.
Edvard, I flatter myself that I have many gifts, but I am no brawler. You can put the dukes down. I have no doubt you would easily outmatch me in a contest of strength.
Mm.
I like how he flatters you so patronisingly.
I've brought you here to show you a few things, Edvard. Well, here's the first. He reaches under the table and pulls out the similarly busted up but unmistakable head of the wonderful mechanical man.
My WMM!
Its jaw hangs open, and
it's a bit more of an MM now.
Yeah.
Than a WMM, I think, unfortunately.
He's still W to me, but...
Okay.
And he places it in front of him on the table. Edvard, I was given this by...
Steal this as well, are you rogue?
This was a gift for me. Making it, by the way, my legal property. It was given to me by Kelly of the Dimmer Sisters. Those ghost-crazed old witches never did have an appraising eye for a true marvel, and this really has the Lumiere stamp on it. Quite literally, I think.
Yeah,
he turns the head around, and there is, in fact. Yeah.
It's the same picture of me that was on the cocaine drink.
Well, look, Astor, I'm sure that can be filed off with a little bit of elbow grease, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't introduced myself yet. Amadeus Astor, you are Mr.
Barnaby Fortescue, lovely to meet you. Yes, big admirer of your work, actually. And also the work of his that he claims you stole. Yeah.
Fortescue.
Correct, yeah.
He laughs as if at some private joke, and then turns to you, Edvard, and continues. Edvard, the assault on the Dimmer Sisters mansion, the theft of the Mistmire ruby. I believe you were there as well that night, Mr. Fortescue. You were seen at the opera.
Don't tell him anything, Barnaby. We weren't there. We were out.
It was a wonderful night. I love the opera. It's fabulous.
Yeah, we were out at the opera.
Roth. Roth sort of scurries over with a big stack of documents and says, every one of these is a witness testimony of your both being there at the opera that night, and a signed testimony from Miss Kelly of the Dimmer Sisters that you were both trespassing on her mansion.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Astor waves it away. He's not interested. It seems that wherever you two go, ghosts and contraptions and chaos erupt. And frankly, I don't care. He sort of raises an arm, like in signal to some of the security people. And across the plaza, distantly, you can hear bells begin to sound. Kind of like ding, 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 ding. They kind of sound like alarm bells, but they're quite far off, like ding, 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 like one after another, and then a kind of siren is going off. You can see across the way that people are starting to file out of Astor headquarters. They're sort of evacuating, kind of pooling into the outside plaza. Astor turns to you and says, "No cause to alarm. No cause for alarm, gentlemen. It's a precautionary measure in case of a suspected gas leak. Anyway, to continue, I know, Edvard, I know that you are one of the hobby horses. Crime, theft."
Is that what we settled on, Barnaby?
I think
Doesn't this sound as cool when he says it?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound as cool when your hated rival says it to you.
Yeah.
I'm a Volasport businessman. I know that crime, gang activity, theft is part of doing business here. The flip side of the coin that lets me, shall we say, take opportunity of creative ways.
Steal IP.
Of doing business. And as I say, I don't care. But now, Cornelius BAGSHOT has disappeared, a man with whom my peers and I had intimate dealings. And frankly, Edvard, I'm beginning to suspect that I know what you're after.
And what exactly would that be, Astor, you rogue? You evil rogue.
You make him sound a lot cooler than he makes us sound. I'm just going to say that when you call him a rogue, it sounds, I don't know, sort of attractive.
Well, okay. Well, you talk yourself up then.
Okay.
I'm not doing all the work here, Barnaby.
Fine. We're brilliant, and yes, we are both members of the hobby horses. But what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I say, trying to pick up the wonderful mechanical man head while everyone's talking.
Astor sees this happen and slides it over. Edvard, I'll be holding on to this, as I say, it is my legal property. He hands it off to a security person, says, have that broken apart and analysed.
Have you broken apart and analysed?
You make it very hard for me to switch back into not smiling.
Sorry.
The Brightstone Society for Analytical Alchemistry. He simply says the words and scans both of your faces for a reaction.
There is zero reaction from me.
Stony.
Edvard, you are a singular inventor, but you've never been a very convincing liar.
I have. Here's one. Astor is good.
There,
I think he is. I agree.
You raise your eyebrows after you tell a lie.
He's always one step ahead.
I know what you want. You want to find this group.
Just want to ask them some questions. Some gentlemanly business dealings. You know the sort.
Well, thank you, Edvard, for being honest with me at last. I know.
Here's some honesty. You suck.
So your eyebrows didn't move then. That's up.
What does this mean? Eh? Can't read the unreadable.
He's an enigma.
Yeah.
Edvard, please pay attention. He slams his hands on the table. You notice actually, for the first time, as he slams his hands down, that he has a little ring on one hand that is emblazoned with a little sort of figure of a light bulb. You only catch it for a minute before he regains his composure and returns his hand to his lap and says, I know what you want. I know you won't get anywhere without the contents of my personal safe in my office in that building over there. And he points to Astor HQ. A building that contains God knows how many other secrets.
Yes, I discovered a few of them last time I was there, Astor, in fact.
What do you mean?
Well...
Quick, raise your eyebrows.
A simple lie. Fine.
Yes.
Edvard, time, I think, for a fresh start. And he makes another sort of waving gesture to some of his security, who wave to someone unseen. By now, everyone out, there's a huge crowd outside of Astor HQ as these alarms have been going on as the building is evacuated, and all of a sudden, the peace is shattered by an extremely loud series of explosions. It's like a rippling broadside, like that, and you see a series of explosions along the bottom of Astor headquarters.
Oh no!
And the building goes and falls away from you and is completely sunk into the Volis River.
Hooray!
Bravo, Edvard. I mean, you've really excelled yourself this time. Certainly better
Finally.
than a boxing glove on an extending stick.
I can't believe the wishing well finally came through. That was a real last-ditch effort there.
Astor sort of stretches and he says, do you know, I feel somehow lighter.
You seem remarkably calm. Your whole office just exploded.
Yeah.
Why
Come on,
not?
Astor. What are you trying to hide? Come on.
Well, I suppose whatever I was trying to hide now lies at the bottom of the Volis River, where you will never, ever, ever be able to access it. So I feel somewhat lighter. Edvard, I wanted to show you this because I want to tell you something very serious. I don't want to hurt you, Edvard. Or your friend, Mr. Fortescue. Believe me, that's not how I prefer to do business, no matter what you might think. But I will not stand idly by and watch you pursue the course that I believe you are currently pursuing. I will not, sir, stand idly by and see you destroy the world.
Destroy. Is that really our plan? I stop
I've said my
listening
piece.
every time we start planning. I don't know. I just zone out.
No, Barnaby, it's not the plan.
Do we? Okay, right. Are you sure?
Yes, we're
I
to
inspect his
save the world. The opposite plan.
Astor is standing up. He's like putting his coat on while you have this little conversation between you. At that, Edvard, at you saying we're trying to save the world, he sort of shoots you both a look to try and see if you're serious or not. And he shakes his head. He says, we're leaving. Gives a clap, and the whole retinue sort of swarms around him. And they move away and are gone and leave you there in the coffee house.
You see what I mean, Barnaby, about this absolute afternoon farmer of a man?
He's got a flair for the dramatic, though. You've got to admit, blowing up his entire building. When was the last time you blew up your entire building? Probably never.
I wouldn't do that. Because I'm not a cow-handed lubberwort like that idiot.
It looked like a fairly precision operation to me, actually. The man's growing in my estimation, honestly.
He's a vice admiral of the narrow seas, sir. I would never allow such a charlatan rogue.
Anyway, from what he was saying, it sounds like we need this thing in this safe, and it sounds like this safe is at the bottom of the bloody river.
A blue coat sort of pops his head into the... and said, oi, everyone out. This building's being evacuated.
Okay.
Didn't you see? Astor HQ just exploded.
What happened? How did it explode?
Well, I had the pleasure of talking to one of Mr. Astor's personal guard myself. It seems what
an honour.
A suspected gas leak is to blame. Luckily, Mr. Astor's brilliant alarm gas detection system seemed to be working flawlessly, and the entire staff was able to be safely evacuated. with no loss of life or injury. He truly is a remarkable man.
I think so too.
Yes.
I have
A
some
credit
remarks.
to the city. He is. Anyway,
I would like to think.
anyway, out. We're we've got to clear
okay.
this whole area.
Fine. Let me
Dust.
get my valises of legal things.
Yeah, your valises are just by the door.
Fine. What's the state of the street now? Is it all cordoned off? Are there blue coats everywhere?
Yeah, the place is swarming with blue coats and just people, just sort of panicky bystanders. There's a lot of like brick dust in the air. Everything looks kind of hazy.
Be careful, Barnaby. Don't breathe any of this in. It's terribly bad.
Yeah.
For you.
Okay.
And there is suddenly an uninterrupted view to the Volus River.
Edvard, I'm getting a bit of a cough.
Okay.
Any of your mixture available? No.
I told you. If you want it, you're gonna have to go and drink the water out of the pond in the park.
Fine.
That's where it all is. I wet a handkerchief and hand it to Barnaby so he can put it over his mouth.
Fine.
Do the same for myself.
In the middle of the square, Astor is there. He's like addressing the staff. He's kind of like stood up on a little soapbox that's been arranged, and he's just talking to everyone, saying, "I'm so relieved to see that all of you are safe."
I screw together my blowpipe and I fire a paralysing dart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're not. Yeah. Roll me for that. Why not? Yeah.
Gonna finesse that. It's quite a shot.
Yeah. Sure.
It's a 3 and a 2.
Okay. The darts sink satisfyingly into the shoulder blades of one of the security detail who stood just next to Astor, who actually just falls, bonk, just absolutely face plants, and Astor is interrupted by this, looks down at the floor, looks up at you, Edvard.
Must have been overcome by all these fumes. Probably not safe to be around here anymore, is it? Well, I suppose we'll be leaving.
Astor steps down and walks over to you, Edvard, and puts a hand on your shoulder and says, Edvard.
Flashback.
Yes.
I coat my shoulder in a paralysing contact. Just in case anyone tried to patronisingly touch me on the shoulder today. It's been a real bugbear of mine lately.
Astor takes his hand away and looks at his leather glove and sees that it's covered in a fine white powder and is slightly sort of sizzling. Edvard, as I say, you are a fine inventor, and I really do warn you off this course of action. This gesture that I've made today, yes, expensive, but I can afford it. Is it worth it to destroy a career's worth of potentially incriminating secrets? I think so. Maybe tonight I'll sleep a little easier, knowing that all of my shameful, wicked misdeeds lie at the bottom of the Volus River. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just enjoy my usual sleeping draft. Edvard, be well. He says, and just sort of, and walks away.
Such a lovely guy. I mean, really, so polite. I think, Edvard. You might have misjudged the chap, actually. I mean, I know he did mention all the, the many years of misdeeds and wicked things, but otherwise, seems like a stand-up chap.
Apart from the years of wicked misdeeds.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Clear.
But who hasn't done years of wicked misdeeds?
Most people,
Right.
I would say.
Right. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Well, whatever he's got in that safe must be some real dynamite, juicy stuff. I mean, I do. So what I was talking about back in there, that I didn't want to spring just now, is I do have physical evidence of him stealing people's ideas that I got last time I was in there.
Right.
Which I've been holding on to sort of blackmail him with. But really, I don't know if it's like, when you get someone like the perfect Christmas present early.
Right.
And you're like, I just want to give it to them now. This might, I don't know if I can hold on to this stuff much longer. We could just release it and ruin him. That'd be fun.
Yeah, but I'm going to venture that there's probably something even worse in there if he was just determined to bury his entire office at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So let's get it. And also, probably it would help our the the gang's objective that we're trying to do as well. It's two
Right,
birds with one
yeah.
stone.
I'm going to assume that that's the case, and were I concentrating on what the gang's objective is, I'm sure I would agree with you.
Well, Barnaby, let me say this. He's stolen every idea I've ever had, so there's probably a bottle of my famous cocaine.
Well,
soda
why
down
didn't
there
you say
as
so
well. In
earlier?
that safe as well.
Let's get that
So-
safe. Let's get that
Yeah.
safe. I don't know why we're hanging around. Come on, come up with an idea, quick.
Okay,
For
well, let's-
context, as citizens of Volasport, you both understand why Astor would feel extremely secure and confident that no one is ever going to find anything that was anywhere in his headquarters, having sunk it into the Volis River. Not only is this a particularly deep river with a strong current that kind of it opens onto the sea, so it's tidal. There are waves, strong currents. It's also murky, dark, filled with the sort of filth and sewage that the city pours out, and apart from that, just absolutely rammed with eels that feast on the refuse and the fishes. They're parasites on the leviathans that you find out to sea, and that is a source of energy for the city. But sometimes they detach and come in inlets and stuff upriver. Yeah, Edvard, you've swum across this river before, so you know that it is stinky and scary.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go down into it and have it all around me.
I hear you, but also I'm really, really jonesing for some cough syrup.
Yes, no, you've said, yeah. Okay, right, we need to figure out some way of going under the water and not dying. So,
Right.
ideas.
Some sort of submersible.
Maybe a diving bell.
Yes.
I've read about those. I think they should be fairly easy to construct. Or we could create some sort of unmanned situation. I could create a specifically underwater themed wonderful mechanical man to go down there and get things for us.
Wonderful
Or we could
mechanical
go-
merman.
Yeah, wonderful mechanical merman.
Or we could go for a
A
very
submersible mechanical man.
we could go for a very much manned operation and just pay a large number of poor people to keep diving in until one of them comes back with it.
Yeah, but then, I mean, a lot of them would die, though.
It's like 4 great ideas.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Okay.
Well, we probably need more. It's a bit like a sort of test for robots, isn't it? You wouldn't be able to like identify the safe among all this debris. I don't think I could program a wonderful mechanical man to do that.
Right.
But if we were to build some kind of diving bell, we could take ourselves down there with the submersible mechanical man. I would also build, and then once we found the safe, we could send him out, and he's impervious to eels. It's made of metal and wood.
You know what? I like the sound of this plan because there is almost nothing I can help with in that entire process. So let's go for that one.
Well, surely you have expertise in some area of something, Barnaby. Then you can add to this.
No, it all sounds like robots and diving bells, which is really more your sort of field.
Huh? Yeah.
But I can
Maybe there'll be a society heiress down there. You could seduce.
possibly, yes, yeah. Let's fingers crossed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go around to like the shore and kind of get the measure of
Absolutely.
what's going on in this
Let's
river.
do it.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you head on down to the river. As I say, the river is very, very deep. Almost nothing of the building that has just sort of smashed into it is visible. Although the wreckage that so much stone pouring into the river all at once has created is visible in the sense that both sort of sides of the river are kind of flooded as a huge wave of water kind of head down along the promenades. We're in Brightstone. It's quite a sort of upmarket place, so there's lots of swells who now have like wet trousers and fancy types with ruined dresses who are quite furious.
Tell me, Edvard, could you take your little slide rule out or whatever, and could you give a rough measurement of where exactly, based on the height of the tower, which I'm sure you know intimately, because you'll know exactly how much taller than your office it was. If you could work out maybe the trajectory and the height, we might have a vague idea of where the penthouse office has landed.
Well, I have been inside Astor's HQ, so I do remember the layout. I guess I could probably estimate based on the angle of collapse and the depth of the water, force of the explosion, I could give it a go.
You could probably narrow it down.
Yeah.
Narrow the search radius down. Yeah.
Just so we're not dredging the entire bloody river.
Yes. All right, I do that.
Let's say that there is 48 hours between this point where the building explodes and the recovery operation commencing. Because it sounds like we're honing in on a plan involving a diving bell and a, what are we calling it? Submersible mechanical man?
A submersible mechanical man.
Submersible mechanical man.
The SMM.
The SMM.
Maybe the wonderful mechanical frog man is better.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's say you've got 48 hours to play with. You can do a little bit more planning if there's like anyone you want to look up, any people's help you want to enlist, anyone you want to consult or look up, any records you wish to find. You know, like all this kind of heist planning stuff. Anything more like that you want to do, we can do a little bit more light planning, and then everything else we can get in flashback.
Barnaby, anyone you know who knows anything about diving or salvage or water?
Not specifically, but I tell you who I could speak to. I could probably chat to the chief of police, the Bluecoats, and see whether they have any sort of operations on the river that might get in our way or aid us.
Good thinking. Good thinking.
Probably go and do that. Go and chat to some higher ups in the constabulary.
Are there any blueprints of Astor's HQ? Any sort of floor plan layout?
That's certainly something that you could get your hands on. Obviously, the interior was highly confidential, but as a sort of prominent landmark, the general layout of the building the exterior is fairly mapped out. There'll be public records of that, and the interior. So by combining those two, you could probably.
I never saw Astor's personal safe, did I?
No, but you were in his office where allegedly it was kept.
Okay, but I could probably... I mean, Astor does make safes, and I am aware of what would be considered their top-of-the-line one.
Yes, certainly.
Right,
yeah.
So I'd like to see if I can get some schematics for that. Something to feed it to the wonderful submersible frogman, whatever it's called now.
Well, not only can you get that, I would say with 48 hours, you could probably secure yourself an actual version of the top-of-the-line safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be good. I could get him practicing cracking it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
That sounds very sensible.
Cool. So I'm going to get to work on a diving bell, and I'm going to adapt the wonderful mechanical man blueprint to operate underwater. Give it some little shoulder-mounted crossbows to shoot eels with. Things of those natures.
These sound like.
In fact, sorry. Actually, just as a flashback, I believe that Edvard went through a phase of reading these kind of pulp pirate and sailing novels. And he got very excited about the whole idea, and he'd started working on a diving bell idea for salvaging shipwrecks because he wanted to get pirate treasure. It was a sort of short-lived phase that he went through, but he has done some preparatory work in this field.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely reasonable. Okay, I would say these are some big construction projects for 48 hours. The submersible mechanical man, that's a given. Granted, no problem, because apart from anything else, you're modifying an existing design, something that you spent a long time working on. Mm-hmm. The diving bell as well, I feel like is something that you would have no problem constructing, but I am going to ask you to give me a location where you've been constructing it, because it's going to be quite large. I imagine there isn't space for something like that in...
Barnaby, do you have any contacts with the shipyards or anything like that?
Well, yes. I mean,
your family in shipping.
I'm sure we've got a spare warehouse somewhere or other. Or if we haven't, we can have a friend organise one.
Doesn't the Barnaby family own? Am I right in thinking, or did you lie about that to impress that whaling man? I can't remember.
You got a shipping company of some description, Barnaby?
Probably on the books. I'll go back and check. I can never remember these things. There's so many comings and goings with the business. I'll go and check.
Okay.
Either way, warehouse space is not going to be a problem at the docks.
Yes. Let's do a few rolls for those. So, Barnaby, why don't you tell me how you are approaching the head of police, and maybe a roll for that.
Well, it just so happens there's a charity ball coming up, and you know the good and the great of roller sport are present, and obviously the chief of the Bluecoats is there, and I'm just going to sidle up to him at the bar and say, I'm sure you know my father. I'm Barnaby Fortescue III. Pleased to meet you. And then I'm going to say, terrible business with the building that came down. What was that one all about? You folks looking into that at all? Or?
Gas leak.
Really?
Yes.
It just so happened I was having coffee across the road, and it looked, well, I don't know, a little more suspicious. There. Yeah.
Suspicious?
Yeah, it was very strange to me. I just wondered whether you were investigating it at all. I mean, obviously,
do
Astor...
not worry. I see that you're concerned, Mr. Fortescue. Do not worry.
I want to feel safe in my own city, you know, as a very, very privileged person.
My duty is to protect the people in this room, and to a much lesser extent, the people outside of this room.
Right.
Have no fear. It was a gas leak. It was a one-off. We are conducting an investigation to find out, to make absolutely sure that nothing similar will be happening. I expect it will take about a week, and in that time we will have lifeboats, salvage ships, cordoning off.
Salvage?
So,
really?
Yes.
Is that how you're bankrolling, you know, the next year of the Bluecoats Christmas party? Is that how it's working?
Oh no, we have been forbidden from trying to retrieve anything in the river. Orders that supersede even my own. I shouldn't really be sharing this, but here I am in my cups at this society ball. The policeman's ball always gets me emotional, and I tend to overshare. Yes,
I'll drink to that.
There will be no disruption to your lifestyle, Mr. Barnaby. I assure you. Views of the river may be slightly interrupted as our lifeboats go about their business. We will cordon off the part of the river that was affected, but it will mostly be a problem for shipping and freight.
Well, we do have concerns. We do have shipping concerns. Yes, but I, you know.
Perhaps we could make sure that we open a lane for you.
That would be marvellous, actually. Is there some sort of signal or arrangement that we could perhaps speak to your
you tell
folks?
me. You're the nautical expert.
Well, just as long as your men are informed that we might be passing through the area, and you know we have a warehouse not far, so there may be some loading and unloading that needs to be done. But I mean, you know, it shouldn't take more than. I mean, we could do it in the evening if your folks are working during the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, they will be working. It will mostly be a sort of guard duty through the evening, but
right.
Yes. I mean, well, just let me know your vessel's call sign and its signals and.
Absolutely, I'll have it sent to your office.
Yes, no problem at all.
Lovely to see you again. Anyway, and best of luck with all this. I mean, it just seems like an awful clean-up job, but sounds like you chaps are on top of it, so.
As I say, our commitment is to keeping everyone in this room safe and able to enjoy the amenities of our beautiful city.
Wonderful. Let's preserve that status quo, eh?
Yes, rather, yes, quite. Glug, 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 glug. Cool. I think I was going to ask you to roll for that, but actually it all sounded totally reasonable. So, yeah, no worries. Submersible mechanical man, that was a given. Let's say that also, Barnaby, while we're sticking with your jobs,
do you want me to roll to see whether I actually have a shipping company or not?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, that's true. You've said all this, but let's do a roll to determine if you have a shipping company.
All right, what do you want me to roll?
Oh god, I don't know. Which one of these?
What's the one for remember?
Which one of these dots refers to? Do I own a shipping company?
Well, maybe consort. Yeah, I'd have to check.
Could be consort. Could be study. Or yeah, whatever you like, really.
I've got a couple of dots in consort, so I'm going to roll.
Yeah,
for that. All right. That's a 5 and a 3.
Okay. Yes, you. There is in fact.
I do have a shipping company.
You do have some shipping interests. I'll tell you what, because that was a strong roll. You also upon making these inquiries, you find out that you own a few warehouses on the dock front, and that actually one of them is manned by a salvage diver who used to work on the Leviathan ships that you're family has some sort of interest in
Mm-hmm.
on a former whaler. Yeah, so they operate a warehouse that you could use. People will look the other way, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're getting there.
Okay, I'd like to get the submersible mechanical man working on cracking this safe.
Yeah, let's do a roll for that because it's it's sort of how well you've programmed the submersible mechanical man.
Maybe a tinker roll then.
I'm going to roll in from the charity ball at 1 a.m. to see how Edvard's getting on.
Let's say you're rolling in on the eve of the operation to your warehouse, your dockside sort of warehouse, a little way down the river from the site of Astor HQ.
Mm-hmm.
It is a big empty warehouse where Barnaby, as you walk in, you see the diving bell that is being constructed. Edvard, what's it look like?
I've taken it quite literally, and it does look like a large bell. It's sort of brass, and it's got a circular window for us to look out of. But because of the previous work I had done on it, it is also covered in like Jolly Rogers and sort of piratical motifs. And the submersible mechanical frogman is also dressed like a pirate as well, because I already had the costume. So I thought it would be fun. I thought it would add to the fun of it all.
Yeah.
So I rolled a 6, a 5, and a 2 on the tinker roll.
Amazing. Well, we take the 6, of course. Barnaby, you also you survey in this scene. You see a piratical version of the wonderful mechanical man with sort of big flippery feet this time. Mm-hmm. And do you remember the action man that swims and its arms just go like...
Exactly so.
Yeah. It's like that. And it is currently doing the hand is going like on a...
I'm timing with a stopwatch.
Exactly.
Now, Edvard, I'm going to propose something, and I don't want you to get angry, because I know you occasionally fly into a fit of pique when I mention his name. But
right.
I do wonder whether it might behoove us to perhaps paint Amadeus Astor's logo on the diving bell, and perhaps also the wonderful mechanical frogman. Just to perhaps, if some idle passerby spots the diving bell being lowered into the river, they'll assume it's Astor going to retrieve some of his belongings.
But you told me just before this conversation, when you came in from the ball, that you'd spoken to the police and they'd given us the okay.
Yes, but belt and braces, the police are informed. That's not a problem. I've taken care of that. But, anyone else on the riverside might spot this, and, if you could see it within yourself to control the bile rising in your throat, and perhaps...
To display the logo of that gadabout, that popinjay.
But just on this one occasion.
That
perhaps.
absolute Zounderkite.
Now, I did say please don't get angry with me, Edvard, because it's just...
You're the one who brought up that Scomalocha!
Just a suggestion.
This absolute scaramouche of a man vexes me at every turn. Okay, how about this? How about...
Perhaps place it over the skull and crossbones?
No, the skull and crossbones that's a load-bearing skull and crossbones.
Right.
Can't be removed. How about instead, I will add some flashes of the Astor logo to the outside that can be operated via a switch from the inside. So if we need them, we can deploy them.
That's very big of you.
But if we would have to abandon this diving bell and then it's retrieved, that's another of my inventions that he'll have claim to, because his logo's all over it.
That is true. Very well, Edvard. You're the genius inventor. I'm prepared to go with your with what.
All right, I'll add flashes that can be deployed if needed of the Astor logo. But
No, I think you've got it a bit wrong. It's more curly at the edges.
Yeah. Also, I've drawn a bum on it.
Not that
From a
curly.
distance, it'll look the same.
Okay. No, you're right.
But if you look close, there is an unmistakable bum on the logo. The other thing you see, Barnaby, as you survey this scene, is the operator of the warehouse, who's a peg-legged gentleman who's kind of stomping around.
Okay.
Like kind of tapping the diving bell. Let's say they've got a hook hand as well. Yeah, kind of tapping it with the metal hook. Going, oh yes, very fine construction. Oh yes, marvelous.
Thank you, sir. You done much salvaging yourself?
Oh yes, yes. Did a fair bit of salvage. Yes, back in the day before. Although down there the pressure can do funny things to you.
Yes. Well, this is double tough. I've reinforced it according to the readings I've had about the pressure in the river. So hopefully it'll hold up. Do you have any advice for us? We're going into the river.
Plenty of advice I could offer. Let's see. Well, eels. If you see an eel, you look it right in the eye,
Right.
and then you find a means to kill it.
Yeah. Kill those.
That would be my main advice.
main advice. Hang on, let me note this down. This sounds important.
Kill eels.
Kill eels.
But not in a way that makes any blood come out.
But
Oh,
not
if
in-
those eels get in the blood frenzy. Oh,
Okay.
that's the one thing you don't want.
Right. No eel blood. Make a note.
Right,
Barnaby,
well, this
you hear
character
that?
risks becoming elevated.
Sure. Yeah. Something about eels. Yeah.
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 I say, do you want to come along on the mission, old boy? You sound like you'd be good company.
I would love to, and my name is Bell. Billy Bell. Billy Bell.
Billy Bell.
Billy Bell.
All right. Barnaby, Billy's coming along. Oh, Billy Bell.
Wonderful. Does he
He's
smell
a
bad?
sal-
He looks like he smells bad.
He's a
He
salvage
smells
expert.
strongly of fish.
Yeah.
But Edvard has formed a strong bond with.
Just what you
Billy-
need in a
Billy-
confined space.
Billy Bell may very well be my best friend. And I would love for him to come along on this adventure.
All right. Fine.
All right, Billy, climb aboard. Like,
How
just-
does one climb aboard something like this?
Oh, there's a ladder. Hang on, let me get it. All right, we're gonna drive it down to the river in a carriage or something. But if you want to get comfortable now,
I think we're probably moving to the point where it's beginning of the score. So, in fact, let me ask you the question. The questions. Load. What's everyone's load?
Light.
normal.
Like normal, cool. What kind of operation is this? Would you like a reminder of the flavours of
Yes,
of crime
please.
that you can do? Assault. Do violence to a target. Deception. Lure, trick, or
Depends how
manipulate.
badly our relationship goes in the diving bell. How many hours are we down there?
Stealth, trespass unseen. Occult, engage a supernatural power. Social, negotiate, bargain or persuade. And transports, carry cargo or people through danger.
Yes, that one, isn't it?
Is it or is it stealth? I don't know.
It's kind of both.
Could be. If you're going stealth, I just need the detail, the point of infiltration. If you would rather it be transport, I just need the detail, the route and means.
Okay, well
Right.
let's say stealth. We'll throw a black blanket over it, or
Sure.
something that's a large tarpaulin. Drive a little cart down to the riverside, and then under the cover of darkness, we'll
Load it onto the ship, right? Which will be the boat, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
the
Which
little
is it a lot?
watercraft.
I mean, is it a little craft, or we're going for? Or is it a large craft?
Well, it just needs a winch for lowering the diving bell into it. So as long as it's
I
large
think-
enough to fit the bell and have a winch.
I think everything past this point we can determine how good it is with the engagement roll. So
Okay.
Here we
let's go diving. Engagement roll. Yay! The best bit. The bit where I roll some dice. Okay, 1d for sheer luck. Here it is. Is this particularly bold or daring? Always. Does it expose a vulnerability or hit them where they're weakest?
I wouldn't necessarily say so.
No, I don't think so. But then, are there any particular defences or preparations you're facing? No, Astor is very confident that now that he's sunk his entire HQ, he's in the clear. Can any friends or contacts provide aid? Yeah, how about Billy Bell?
About popular character Billy Bell.
Beloved
Fan
character
favourite.
Billy Bell. We'll say Billy Bell is going in with medium load as well.
Yeah. And decades of salvaging experience.
And decades of salvage experience, that is true. Enemies or rivals involved?
I should say.
Yeah.
Not really that we know of, but okay.
Well, I mean, do you think that Astor counts as an enemy or a rival who's involved?
Yeah, I mean he's involved, I suppose.
Okay.
He's a Scruntilius Popinjay, if that's
That is fair enough, but it does mean -1 die, so.
Dang it.
for a grand total of 2.
I guess he's not involved, is he? Because he's gone. He's left.
He's already fled the scene.
He's withdrawn himself from this whole scenario.
All right, we'll rank it up to 3.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let's find out how we do. Whoa! 2 6s and a 5.
Hey! All right.
Amazing.
So presumably the safe leaps out of the water.
The safe
into
leaps
our
out,
hands.
and the door swings open. The contents fall into your waiting hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's worth
Okay.
it.
Couldn't have gone better.
Here's,
Right,
here's where we're at.
back to the club for a whiskey, old man.
Chin
Here's
chin.
where we're at the start of the score. Okay. The boat that you have loaded the diving bell onto is of a really good, sturdy size. It can easily bear the weight of the bell. That was the first thing that was going to go wrong if the roll had been different. But yeah, it's just a nice, good, mid-sized boat. Discreet, nondescript, and as you pull up, Barnaby, you have not only made a note of its number, but you give its signal in actual hoisting of flags,
Okay.
running them up a little mast. Well, in fact, that doesn't sound like maybe you tell.
Billy,
Barnaby would have been in the cadets at school, surely.
Actually, yeah, that does check out. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, they made me.
What time of day do you want to be doing this?
Golden hour.
Cool. Go
No,
on. All right.
whenever the shift finishes.
Okay,
I'm imagining
it's
a beautiful sunset as the light dips below the horizon.
Oh, that's lush. That's lush. Yeah, it's the golden hour. The surface of the river is like a sheet of hammered bronze as the sun descends, and a large proportion of the blue coat patrols and lifeboats that are kind of pootling around on little. They're kind of like big glorified rowboats, basically. Most of them are leaving. There are a few more, and when your signal is flashed to them, they sort of row out of the way. Bear in mind, they don't believe that you're going to be stopping there. They think they're just letting you through.
Although I did let the police chief know that we do have warehouses and that we may need to do some loading and unloading.
Yes, that's
So-
true. Although,
They know it's not a straight passage through
yeah.
necessarily.
So you're able to sort of navigate into the cordoned off area, which is this sort of large portion of the river. The diving bell is well constructed. It's some of it.
What's the seating like, and is there a drinks cabinet?
Yes, there's a drinks cabinet. Of course, there's a
And
drinks
are we
cabinet.
talking plush seating? Or are we talking?
We're talking
cushions?
we're talking plush, leather.
Comfortable.
And
yes.
also kind of
Waterproof. I like it. It's good thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
exactly.
a bit like a sort of floating tiki bar because of the theming that I put in.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
It was a phase, certainly.
Yeah.
But I didn't want all that work to go to waste. So.
No. Now I don't
But
want
there
to.
are umbrella drinks, so help yourself.
Wonderful.
I don't want to patronise the viewers at home by talking to them as if they don't know how a 18th century diving bell works. But for those unfamiliar, we are talking about a large bell that 3 people can comfortably sit inside. They're
And
sort
a
of seated
robot.
on a bench on the inside of the bell. The bottom of the bell is left open, but as it is lowered uniformly into the water, oxygen is sort of trapped there. There is a system of pipes that is kind of lowered down with a barrel alongside the diving bell, and that provides oxygen. So that's kind of external, and there are sort of weights attached to the bottom to make the diving bell lower. So why don't we say the point where we jump into action? Your craft is bobbing peacefully on the river. You are roughly over the spot where you believe Astor's office would have crumbled and fallen and come to rest on the riverbed, and you are on the deck of this small ship with a large diving bell. And around you there are, let's say, 3 patrol boats, but they all understand that you are to be given passage through the area. Probably they don't understand you operating a diving expedition in their crime scene, but that's where we're at.
Okay. All right.
Leap into action and pour myself a pina colada.
Good. Okay.
Do I need to roll for that, or
Let's say, roll to see how strong it is. I don't know if stronger is better or worse.
Sounds like finesse. If you want
yeah, it's finesse. So I've got 2 in that. That's a 5 and a 2.
Okay, so
There's a
success.
complication to your pina colada.
Yeah, success. You have made a great pina colada. Complication. Billy Bell has already got into the liquor cabinet.
Okay.
Billy!
And is humming but not singing loudly a sort of a sea shanty of old.
I expect this from Belly Bill. Not from you, Billy Bell. Okay, well, if we think this is the sort of area that we want to be in, we should go down and have a look and see what's down there, because then the secrets will be revealed. Do you reckon we can just drop this diving bell into the water and none of these patrols will be mad, or should we...
Well, we're going to be lowering it slowly anyway, aren't we? So, is there a side of the ship on which it would make the most sense to lower it? Is the one that is less visible to the patrolling guards? Do we have a window or an area? I could survey if you like.
I
good
would like
idea.
to disable the speakers that play sea shanties that I added when I first designed the diving bell. Let me just
Billy looks sad.
yeah, we'll turn them back on later, Billy.
Yeah, I'd like to have a look around and see if there's a sort of line of sight benefit to dropping the diving bell off a particular point on the ship.
Yep.
I only have 1 in survey, but let's see. 4.
Okay.
Four's
Yeah.
not bad.
Success with the complication, but it's not too difficult a thing. So yeah, that's you look around and you see that 2 of the boats are stationary. They're kind of like resting at anchor. Another one is kind of patrolling the area in like a long, sort of wide, slow circle. But that means that there is a good few minutes where you can lower the bell on whatever side you wish, and none of the other patrol boats will be able to see.
So we should probably leave someone up here to keep an eye on these patrols and signal to those in the bell if we need to be aware of anything. So what do you think, Barnaby? Do you want to stay up here, or do you want to come down and we can leave Billy up here?
You can rely on me, he says.
I'd like to see this diving bell. I mean, that you've done a wonderful job with the seating and the drinks cabinet and the tiki theming, so I think I'd like to come down.
Okay, Billy, I say, grasping him firmly by the shoulders.
Yes.
As you know, Billy, we are best friends.
Yes, Edvard, I've come to see you as a brother.
Indeed. Well, I'm going down there now. It's going to be very dangerous.
To the murky deep. Be ye sure, Mr. Edvard.
Yes, the briny deep. It may claim me, Billy, but
You'll remember what I told you about eels.
Kill them, but don't let their blood come out.
So are you talking strangulation of some sort?
Strangle the eels, yeah, or a blunt object, back of the head. But Billy, I need you to keep an eye on these ships, and if
Do
anything,
eels have a back of their head? Surely the back of their head is their butt.
Yeah, hit them in the butt with a blunt object. That's what Billy said.
Right.
But Billy, I need you to stand watch, and if anything happens, you're to signal to us using this speaking tube. And I show him how to operate the speaking tube.
This be the oxygen pipe, I'm sure. Don't worry, I'll keep you well supplied. He starts blowing into it.
It's there's a separate oxygen pipe, Billy. That's
taken care of.
Yeah, stop blowing your fumes into the oxygen pipe. We need that.
I feel rather dizzy, Mr. Edvard.
Okay, we'll have a lie down, but also, once you're feeling better, keep an eye out. All right, Billy? I trust you with my life.
Remind me how the oxygen works.
Billy, you have decades of salvage experience.
But I was in the bell.
Right. Okay,
And often I didn't have no bell. As I say, the pressure. The bends, Mr. Edvard, they do funny things to you upon the years.
Yeah, it really adds up, all that bends.
Well, I feel great about this plan. Let's go.
Okay, I give Billy the eyes.
He does a salute with his hook hand.
Hurts himself quite badly.
Cuts his eye off.
Pointing inwards.
All right.
Yeah.
I load up the submersible mechanical man in my mechanical man backpack.
Of course.
And
we
climb into the diving bell.
I'm imagining it has retractable arms and legs and is a sort of
and then
Wall-E
he's
style
got two
cube.
straps that pop out, and I can just wear him like a backpack.
Adorable. Okay, great. So you're being loaded into the bell.
Yep. Billy, lower us into the briny depths.
Lower away.
To Davy
And
Jones'
he
locker.
goes- Yeah, cool. Let's make an all-encompassing roll for the lowering away. It will encompass the strength of the bell. It'll encompass how well you instructed Billy beforehand.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Don't forget, you can work together. You can push yourself. You can ask for devil's bargains and stuff. All these different things you can do.
Well, let's work together.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'll lead a group roll
Yep.
in lowering. Which I guess, because it's mechanical, can this be a tinker?
I should think so. Yeah.
Yeah, alright. So I'm
I have
about
nothing in
mechanism that you
Tinker. Does that
constructed.
affect things at all?
You
say
both
you-
roll Tinker and take the highest result, but Edvard will take 1 stress for every dice that is a failure.
But if I don't have Tinker, I roll 2 dice and take the lowest result.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I guess you could probably describe this as finesse, though.
In which
because-
case I have 2 dice.
Yeah. I also have 2 dice in finesse. So...
Gaming the system.
I mean, it requires a real finesse to lower a diving
It's
bell.
about getting it in smoothly and evenly, isn't it? Into
Yeah, I
the
think
Exactly.
you're right. Okay, the finesse roll is happening now.
Alright, fine. Ooh, I've got a 4 and a 6.
I've got a 4 and a 2.
Well, that is no stress for you, Edvard. Great job. So, what was the highest result there out of everyone?
6.
6. Yeah, brilliant. There's a set of levers and switches on the inside of the diving bell. They sort of release it, and then Billy Bell. He does have some experience of salvage and pulling levers and stuff. So up back on the deck, he's humming to himself again.
The old muscle memory, the old magic coming
Exactly,
back.
and he like that.
He's taking extra care because his best friend is in that bell.
Yeah, his very best friend Edvard is
Yeah.
aboard. Precious cargo indeed.
Did you ask how he lost his hand? Was it while lowering a diving bell?
This thought occurs to you as the diving bell goes through, and softly and uniformly hits the river.
It was actually a
immediately.
disastrous game of knifey handy.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Stabbed right into the wrist, the whole hand came off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very first
first.
stab
Boom, straight in.
cut his whole hand off.
Well, they didn't explain the rules very well, he told me.
Yeah.
He thought he was doing it right. It was like the
Billy Bell
quickest.
does
Easy
benefit
mistake to
from
make.
Whoever can cut their hand off quickest is the winner. But, so he thought he'd won. It's a whole. You should ask him to tell you the story sometime. He's a very good storyteller.
Absolutely won't. But yes, sounds like he's a capable sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Well, speaking of sounds, all of the noises of the outside world immediately become muffled as the diving bell begins to be lowered. Looking out of the sort of porthole windows to either side, you can see that golden hour light filtering through the murk of the Volis River, but it's not long before it begins to become enshrouded with darkness.
You turn on the light that I incorporated.
Yeah, let's make that a flashback for the light, just
Yeah.
because I've not heard it mentioned yet. I don't think it's
Okay.
unreasonable, though. Maybe just 1 stress.
I probably should have mentioned it, but I assumed it would be dark down here. One of my patented incandescent bulbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Clicks on.
A bright bulb, boonk, like that. So where is it? Where's the light?
It's on the top of the diving bell, but it is directional, so you can move it.
Yeah, so beneath you, obviously, around your ankles, there is water. The now lowered surface of the river, and also just by your ankles, poking up, there's a thick hose pipe, which is where fresh oxygen is being hopefully pumped in by Billy Bell.
Good old Billy.
Good old Billy. And you're not really aware of the lowering sensation, but you do feel the bell kind of sway a little bit like this. And again,
I'm going to have to drink some more to offset the swaying.
Offset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opposite
Well,
swaying.
let me mix you up a hurricane, old man, while we're down
Thank
here.
you. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Such a fine host, Edvard.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So you
It's golden hour.
the-
It's probably 5 o'clock here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it is well past the yard arm. Drinking wise, Yeah, eventually, I think that was a 6, wasn't it? Yeah, so the diving bell sways and lowers down, and after a few minutes of gentle lowering, Edvard, with the light, suddenly you begin to be able to discern shapes beneath you.
Nudge Barnaby and point out the window.
Looks like we're here.
Yeah.
Now
as you
what?
look, it's a sort of kind of hills and valleys of shattered brickwork. Is the kind of bottom of the river landscape, and in fact the bell just comes to rest slightly lopsidedly, like gunk, like that, on a little bit of what used to be the facade of Astor HQ.
Okay, well, I'd like to take out that blueprint of the Astor HQ and just sort of have a look at it and see if there was anything architecturally that would mark out what would have been Astor's office, if there was a particularly ornate window, or it had a balcony, or if it had anything like that.
Yep.
That would identify it.
Make me a roll for that.
Clock, perhaps. Might have had a clock at the top.
Yeah, it might have, wouldn't it? So this, I guess, study for this.
Yeah. Don't forget to boost the roll if you want to, using all of the ways.
Okay. I will stick to a regular one for this. Hey! 6 and a 2.
Nice. I rather feel like Astor would have had a clock on top, being a sort of mechanical type. I rather feel he would have had a clock on top of his building. But
Yep, there's a clock. You can see it. It took only the mildest amount of stress to shatter and break the clock completely. But you, looking out the window, you can see hills and valleys of this kind of the peaks and lows of this shattered brick landscape. You can see one window that does stand out, because it has a let's say it's like a sort of sundial carved into the brickwork on the outside, that you recognised Edvard as being the one that looks out.
That's
You
it,
actually
over
you
there,
saw
Barnaby.
you saw Astor standing at this window and looking out over the river. How odd to see it now inverted at the bottom of the river.
It's really a metaphor for his company and fortunes. But once what stood so proud, Barnaby, you're not listening. That once what stood so proud now
Right,
lies at the bottom of the river, covered in sludge and eels.
standing proud, got it.
Soon, so will no. That's not the one. What once stood so proud, Barnaby, now lies at the river, covered in eels. Soon, so will Astor himself also be the same.
Astor lies. Yeah, got it. The usual. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's out the window, and you can see. Well, you can see out of your window. This window. It's like a sort of. It almost looks like a hole in the floor. It looks like a hole in the riverbed. Although you're not on the actual riverbed, you're sort of on the. You understand.
Right. Okay, so it's now the time that we deploy the wonderful submersible man, send him over there. I mean, I'm not sure that we can move this diving bell.
Well, can we move
the problem.
Is it possible to move the boat with the boat? If the
Let me have a word with Billy on the old speaking tube. Billy!
I'm going to make a fortune roll for
is
Billy.
he asleep?
Yeah, I'm going to make a fortune roll for Billy's.
Billy!
That's a 6. Yeah, immediately, almost before you finish saying Billy, he comes over the
He snaps crisply to attention.
Yeah. Mr. Edvard, are you okay? Are you all right down there?
Everything's shipshape down here, Billy. Over.
Eels hadn't seized you, has they?
Eels haven't seized anyone. Nothing's been seized by eels. But we do need to move a few clicks southwest.
A few clicks? Oh.
Isn't that a kilometre?
No, okay, not clicks.
Crikey, I'll make the sail, don't you worry, Mr. Edvard, I'm on it.
Barnaby, how far away would you say that window is?
40 metres.
Okay, we need to move about 40 metres.
Absolutely, Mr. Edvard. What direction?
Well, what direction is it, Barnaby, from here?
Do you have a compass?
There's a built-in compass underneath the window.
Right, I'll take a look at it. North-northwest.
Okay. About 40 metres north-northwest, Mr. Bell.
North-northwest it shall be.
Over.
Yeah, you sort of put the speaking trumpet back on its little hook and sit there patiently, and after a moment you do start to feel the bell just go like that and just gradually just kind of grate along the ground beneath you through the...
Mai Tai, Barnaby?
Oh, wonderful, yes. You're way ahead of me, yeah. Read my thoughts.
I wonder if there's any sort of... I wonder if you get more drunk when you... I mean, you're not technically, like, under pressure, are you?
The air's getting thin.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like
the composition of your blood might change, I suppose, a little, like, because of...
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, you feel the diving bell kind of slide and grate along the floor, and you can see this window. It moves out of the view. You can no longer see it through the porthole. It's briefly out of sight, and then you see it come into a more sort of wobbly shape beneath your feet.
Wow.
Like that through the wobbling surface of the river. There's another ding 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 on the speaking trumpet.
Yes, Mr. Bell.
Mr. Edvard, are you alright? You haven't been claimed by the eels down there, have you?
Still not claimed by eels.
Marvellous.
How about this? If I get claimed by eels, I'll let you know as soon as it happens.
Why, then I would have no need to ask every time I call.
Well, yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have to worry. I feel like you're worrying too much, Mr. Bell, and it's affecting your performance.
When you spend as much time in the briny deep as I have, Mr. Edvard, you do nothing but worry.
Yeah, you hold your friends
eels.
close because you don't know when an eel will suddenly leap out of the ocean.
Did you say eel? Did you see an eel?
No, there's no eel.
Mr.
I see no eels currently.
Right, okay.
Wait,
anyway,
I think I see...
no,
no, that's the oxygen tube. Sorry.
Yeah.
It just looked a bit eel-shaped.
There's a chap up here, Mr. Edvard. Wants to know what we're doing. He seems a little upset. What should I tell him? You want me to gouge him with my hook, with my claw hand?
No,
Just
we
say
don't
the
need.
word, just give the nod.
Okay, well, don't gouge him with the claw hand, but tell to Barnaby.
Get off! I'm asking him, aren't I?
Barnaby, you're good at these sorts of.
Bring him over to the speaking tube. I'll chat to him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Barnaby. Say again.
Bring him over to the speaking tube and I'll chat to him.
Oh, right. Yes. So I would hand it. Right. Gotcha. There's a sort of muffled. You can't really hear, like, you can hear two voices.
And then, Billy, if that doesn't work, then the hook.
Oh yes, Mr. Edvard. No problem at all. Eventually, another voice comes on. Hello.
Hello, what seems to be the problem?
To whom am I speaking?
Barnaby Fortescue III? Socialite? General Gadabout? Charming chap?
bloody hell are you doing at the bottom of the river?
Well, listen, we have...
is a crime scene.
Yes, but we have permission to pass through. I spoke to the chief of police.
I know you have permission to pass through. I waved your ship through. Pass through does not mean whatever this is.
Listen, you might not have heard of it, but there are these... it's the latest newfangled medical technology for curing migraines. It's a sort of pressure therapy. You head down in a small diving bell and you it clears your migraines. It's the latest thing. I can't believe you haven't really heard of it.
I'm a doctor. I shall.
I have my doctor here with me, conducting the treatment, and
Mr. Fortescue, we really must get you back to your treatments. The pressure in your head, it could cause your head to explode if we don't relieve it.
I know, doctor, and I respect.
Well, what's the
your medical
hold-up?
counsel. Well, it's fine. There's just a gentleman here who just wants to know why we're moving so slowly through the region, but it's very, very important for the treatment. And if I don't get these migraines cured, it could have terrible consequences for things like police funding. maybe a roll for that, I guess. Barnaby. Yeah, that is a sway, presumably, which I have 3 dice in. Don't forget don't forget all the things you can do if you want. Should I push myself? Bit of extra stress. Why not?
They do enjoy
it's quite an outlandish claim.
Policeman's ball, don't they?
Okay, I've got 2 6s, a 2 and a 1.
You Richies. Whatever next?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. What was that you said? You rich what?
Yeah, that's Mr. Fortescue. I said, I said, carry on.
You know, I feel like speaking to you is actually bringing my migraine back a little bit. I'm starting...
Oh my god, these readings are off the charts, Barnaby. You've set us back hours.
Rather
Mr.
better if you... Yeah, rather better if you let us get on with it, I think.
Mr. Fortescue, that is absolutely reasonable. All that I ask is would you be able to move this operation along within the next sort of 10 or 15 minutes?
Give us
10
45.
or 15...
45
yeah,
is
45 will be fine, Mr. Fortescue, if you could...
It's a very delicate point of the treatment, and I don't appreciate being disturbed. But thank you for your concern.
If we could not be disturbed any further, I need to drill some holes in his head, and I don't need anything knocking me about. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Heavens. Yes, Mr. Fortescue, would you like me to put this other gentleman back on?
Yes, please, if you would.
All right. Please get well soon. And
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I really do.
I hope the treatment works. I'm sure my wife will be keen to try it if it becomes a new
I'm assured
fad.
it's very effective. Yeah.
I'll stop bothering you now, Mr. Fortescue.
Thank you.
Please enjoy your time at the bottom of the river at our crime scene. Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Barnaby.
Yes.
Put me back on. Is it time for the old claw in the eye?
No claw. No claw, Billy.
Not necessary,
cork
Billy.
the claw.
Not necessary. This time, at least.
All right. Well, he's gone. He's climbing off the boat anyway. So the
Wonderful.
moment's passing for the old claw in the eye.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
He's
Keep it
going
in the back
back to-
pocket, but not now, Billy.
Going back to his boat.
Don't keep it literally in your back pocket. You might spike yourself in the bottom.
Yeah, don't... Okay. Well, Billy, you know how to handle your claw. You're a claw owner. Anyway, are we in the right spot now? Are we by the window?
Yeah, you're above the window. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, let's shine the light in the window and see if we can see the lay of the office, how damaged it is, if there's if there's anything obviously where the safe would be.
Let's make this a roll. I think. Just
Okay.
to sort of, yeah.
I will study the office. 6 and a 2 again.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. The light that you shine through the window illuminates smashed up but distinctly recognizable furnishings. At this depth, you can't. Everything appears sort of monochrome, kind of sort of dirty brownish bluey color under the light. But you can clearly see, Edvard, a very fancy sort of chair and the corner of what looks like it was once a table that you yourself sat on the other side of. So yeah, this is absolutely the right room. You cannot see the safe through this window, but this is the right spot.
Okay.
Is the safe going to be identifiable? Is it going to have some sort of, adornments or,
Yeah, the safe will be obviously a safe, but knowing Astor, he's a theatrical idiot, isn't he? He'll probably be hidden behind a portrait of himself or something along those lines. Can you see anything like that, Barnaby?
I can do a survey if you'd like.
Have a look, see what you can see.
That's a 6 again.
Oh my god!
There is a portrait of Astor.
Alright.
In fact, you know what? Let's say there's just a big gilded frame. Astor clearly didn't take much from the building before he intentionally blew it up, but he appears to have saved this portrait.
Alright.
But you can see where the portrait was.
Okay, I'll just jump onto the flashback harpoon gun, and I'll fire it into the frame and see if we can pull that off the wall.
Yeah, cool. 1 stress for the harpoon gun. That feels fair. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we'd better have a roll for the firing of a harpoon as well. That sounds.
All right. It's mechanical. I'm tinker.
Yeah.
5, a 3, and a 3.
The harpoon darts out and shoots into the water. You can't hear, but you can almost sort of feel through the wire as it a thunk as it sort of connects with the picture. And in fact, there's a sort of shiver that goes up into your hands that kind of implies kind of like the that the harpoon struck something metallic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Through the painting. As you wheel it in, the frame is hooked on the harpoon. The frame is probably too big to like get into the bell, but you can, you've pulled it away. You can, get it. Would it get out the window? Let's say yes. Also, like, let's say that as you give it a tug, it kind of comes apart. Because it has, been massively damaged.
Yeah.
And you can now see clearly where it was. The faint metallic shine of an Astor brand safe.
There it is, old man.
Jackpot.
The safe.
Let's
Right,
drink to celebrate.
As you're both looking down at the safe, you do see a sort of dark shape kind of go.
Oh no, eels.
What was that?
Yeah, possibly the movement of the harpoon, which seems so much like a struggling
Big
fish.
eel.
Yeah. Like a struggling fish has attracted something.
Okay, well, that's
In
why
fact,
we bought
I'm
the
going to
old...
start a clock
Oh no.
that counts down to
Eels.
Eels strike.
Exclamation
Eel
mark.
frenzy.
eels! Exclamation mark. Yeah.
Okay, well,
I'm
this
gonna
is why
make
we
it
bought
a
the submersible
Short
mechanical
clock
man.
as well. Let's make it.
Also, are we able to reel in the harpoon gun? Because that might be useful against eels.
Yeah, well, the frame's broken apart. Let me just wind it back in.
Yeah,
it's on
you
a
go.
sort of
Yeah,
pneumatic.
comes back up. A little bit soggy.
Eel.
Yeah, 4-piece clock. Eels.
All right.
And we'll fill a piece.
Okay, well, I'll take off the mechanical man, hit the button for the arms and legs, and I'm like, right. SMM. I need you to remember your training. We need to go over to that safe. Remember? We went through the safes. You did all the training on the safe. When you go over there, open it up, get whatever you can, put it in the oil skin, the waterproof oil skin, and bring it back over here. Okay?
Master, what is this feeling I feel?
It's the feeling of excitement for getting on a job, I say, and I kick him into the hole.
Do they always sound in pain?
I don't know why it keeps happening. I don't program that.
With a sploosh, the SMM, is sort of dropped in. It goes like
Honestly,
that.
it happens
and
every
once
time.
it's in the water,
I program them to play chess and smoke cigars, and
All
they
the
come out
finest
with all
things
this
in life.
existential dread the whole time. It's an absolute nightmare.
as it's kind of like floating there, the arms and the legs just kind of unfold. And it starts Action Man swimming like that, sort of in a small circle and down, sort of descending towards the window, and kind of vanishes in. And let's say for the moment, that's all you can see. What's your kind of tell me exactly what the SMM is programmed to do.
He's programmed to find and identify a safe, to swim over to it, to crack the safe, and then to remove the contents, put them in a waterproof bag, and bring them back to me.
Okay.
And also, he has a lot of eel defense systems.
He's bristling with eel defenses.
I mentioned the shoulder-mounted crossbows, of course, but there is also a sort of electrical pulse that he can give out that shocks and kills eels. He's also covered in eel poison. I didn't know.
If they're electric eels, is it not going to charge them up? I didn't really listen in biology class, but I assume that's how it works.
They're not electric eels. They're so much worse.
Oh.
Okay, the bit that I am sort of question marking over is the bit between the cracking the safe and the contents being made waterproof.
Oh, well, I mean, I think the stuff will probably get wet because there's water's going to flood into the... I mean, he could bring the safe back in... He's strong enough to bring the safe back unopened, which is probably a better idea. So, let's say that I settled flashback stress. I told him to bring the safe back without opening it, and we'll open it in the diving bell.
Sure, that's fine. I don't know who of us should roll for the SMM's diving expedition. I feel like it should be you, Edvard, partially because you'll be able to roll better than me, because you have dots. But
It's a
also,
series
like,
of programming things, isn't it? Which will have been
yeah,
Edvard tinkering.
exactly.
before.
The SMM isn't I mean, is it capable of defining its programming? These are big questions that we're not asking today.
Bloody shouldn't be.
Well, yeah, let's find
very
out if it's
specific.
capable.
It did sound quite miserable though, so maybe it's
Okay.
developing sentience.
It's a 4, a 3, and a 2.
Okay,
So 4 is the highest.
all right. It takes a little longer than you think it is going to. You're both sort of staring at each other anxiously, waiting. I'm sure the SMM will be.
Barnaby's waiting for Edvard to pour another drink. Edvard's worrying about the mechanical man.
It's all over there. You can help yourself, Barnaby.
Oh, but then I have to move,
Yes.
and I've already
Barnaby,
had
while you're over
several
at the
drinks.
at the drinks cabinet, you do just looking out the window, the porthole. You do see a sort of increasing number of those mysterious black shapes that are just sort of swarming past. So I'll tick another piece on the eel's clock. What was it, a 4?
4 was the highest. Yeah.
Okay. After a little while, though, you do, out of the gloom, start to see sort of swimming. There's a lot of bubbles coming out of the sort of back legs because it's heavy. But the SMM sort of slowly swimming up like that towards the diving bell. And it has, in its just sort of managing to grip onto this large metal safe.
Cool. Can we help him aboard?
Well, it's kind of sort of swimming towards you.
Okay.
Let's say, because of the thrashing and the bubbles, it's going to be attacked by an eel. What were its eel defences, though?
It had eel-seeking crossbows. It was covered in eel poison, and it could also electrify itself to shock the eels.
Okay. Which one would you rather the SMM deployed?
If the eel is going to try and bite him, then, as I imagine it would, if it doesn't know that this is a mechanical man, it has the form of a normal man, they'll probably try and bite him. So it'll just chomp down on A, hard metal, and B, poison. So let's see how that goes.
Yep, cool. You can only see this kind of indistinctly. It's kind of like a large sort of murky ribbon shape just suddenly is there. It's like that.
Despite what he might tell you, I have not programmed him to feel pain. So.
Yeah, sure. The ribbon attaches, kind of thrashes and wiggles for a bit, and then goes limp and just floats away.
See that?
And
quality
towards...
eel poison, Barnaby. You
Yeah,
get what you
very
pay for,
impressive.
and you should pay for quality.
And you did it crucially without using the one of the SMM's defences that would have caused the eel to bleed.
Oh, of course.
So the SMM comes up to the diving bell.
Had forgotten that. Despite my sworn oath to Billy Bell that I would never forget his words.
The SMM is now up, there, like that.
Help me
Push-
with this
like-
safe, Barnaby. Help me aboard with
All
this.
right, fine. Just this once.
Let's make a roll for the getting the safe into the bell, just because it feels like something that could potentially be difficult.
Yeah,
imbalance.
let me just finesse it aboard.
Yeah, finesse it aboard. You'll have to move yourselves around as well, I think, to make sure that you're. Yeah.
All right, well, it's a group action then, Barnaby. So,
Okay.
I think that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Finesse.
It's a 5 and a 3.
I've got a 5 and a 2.
Nice.
You kind of shift around and hoist this thing. The bell does kind of start to sort of rock and sway a little bit, but you do manage to get the safe up onto the bench with the two of you and the SMM kind of like on the opposite side of the bell. It's reasonably even weight wise. And so you're all right. What was the highest result there? Was it a 6 again or
A 5.
5.
5? Okay, let's stick another piece on the on eel o'clock.
The eels did not like that.
Okay, yeah. Well, now outside you can if you look out the portholes, you can occasionally see sort of ominous yellow eyes, kind of just.
Should we
Grab
begin?
the speaking tube, Mr. Billy Bell. Mr. Bell,
Edvard.
are you there? Bring us up. Activate the winch.
Edvard, I
Returning to the surface.
can't hear you as distinctly as I could earlier.
Oh yes, I decided this might sound cooler if I talk like this, Billy.
You talking into your Mai Tai glass, Edvard? Have you completely lost your mind?
Fine, I grab the ultra crisp,
I want in.
Oh, they're both at it now.
the Dolby Audio speaking tube instead of the
Atmos.
old-fashioned one. Yeah, bring us up. Activate the winch, Mr. Bell.
But
Aye,
gradually,
Sir
right?
Edvard.
There'll be extra rum rations in it for you.
Might I go so far as to check? Oh no, you said I wasn't to ask.
Yes, there are eels, but bring us up slowly.
Eels! He overhears.
That's why we need to be pulled up with a haste, Mr. Bell.
Oh, I'll winch you immediately, sir.
You know how he feels about eels, Barnaby. You can't panic the man.
Yes, but I also feel bad about the bends, which he was also talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the few words I caught. Is it the bit about your blood exploding?
That is a 3. Let's say that maybe
blood
he
explodes.
is winching you up, but like because you mentioned eels, Barnaby.
It's automatic. It's a lever he has to pull.
Yeah,
There's no-
but he can control the speed, obviously,
Oh.
at which the thing comes up, and he maybe just pulls it up with slightly too high a jerking motion, like that, and so you start to go up, but the bell just sways a little bit as you go, and does water kind of comes up in, and is now sort of up to your
My coat!
torso. Your coat is
Bloody
ruined, Barnaby.
hell! Bloody hell!
Also, as this bit of water is scooped in, what's come in with it? An eel.
Oh no!
God. Barnaby, strangle it.
I grab the eel and try and strangle it.
Okay, go on
You
then.
can't allow its blood to escape.
Go.
While he's strangling her, I'd like to punch it in the face.
Okay,
With, like,
that sounds like a group action then. Who's
rabbit
leading it?
punches.
I mean, I have one in skirmish. Is it a skirmish with an eel? Probably.
I think this has to be skirmish.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way to finesse this or sway.
Talk to the eel.
I'm going to imagine it's the old sergeant from Cadets.
I have no dots in skirmish, so I rolled 2 dice and I got a 5 and a 4.
I got a 2.
What a great job! It was a group action. Okay, Barnaby, you're having a real hard time keeping hold of this eel. It is
Yep.
wriggling out and thrashing and biting at you. But Edvard, maybe just more out of like sheer panic than anything else, you're actually sort of bludgeoning it quite effectively. It's big. It's like
I fling a Mai Tai into its eyes.
yeah, it's kind of a imagine your thigh at its thickest point. That's kind of the sort of circumference of this eel, and it's
Dang.
about 5
Wow.
feet long and sinewy and very, very slimy. But you do manage to bludgeon it unconscious, Edvard.
Nice. I push it back out the hole and out into the sea. Get out of here, eel.
Yeah, you flop it unconscious like that, and it sinks down. What was someone's highest result was a 2.
Yes, that was mine.
Cool. Who led that group action?
I believe it was me.
It's Barney Boy.
So yeah, you take 1 stress, but the eel is dispatched, and you're and you make it up to the surface.
That'd be a lesson to the rest of you eels.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have actually sent a lesson to the eels.
You should have seen me down there, Billy. The eel. It was the size
Let's
of my
say
thigh.
that the eel you punched, as it sort of flopped down, it must have just like taken just like a small nick or a cut or something, because just as it floats, all of the eels that were hanging around your diving bell, sort of swarming around it, they just go in a big sort of hungry cloud down further into the river, and just start tearing apart that eel that you
Yikes.
punched out.
Billy, you weren't kidding about those eels.
Eels?
Yeah, I punched one with my 2 hands. You should
I
have seen
helped. I probably helped
it.
slightly.
He helped. He was there.
Be it true, ye punched an eel.
I punched an eel out. Unconscious it was.
I saw
Came
it.
at me with eyes as black as the devil's.
With these
teeth.
mortal hands.
He takes your hands in his.
Yes, Billy.
That must be really uncomfortable, given that one of his hands is a hook.
Yeah, that's true.
Digging
He
into my
passes
skin.
his
Yeah.
hook cleanly through your palm.
Mr. Edvard, I commend your bravery, sir. I don't need to tell you what happened to me the last time I laid hands
Yes,
on
well,
an eel.
before you do that, can we get the ship moving? Because otherwise
yes,
we're going to
Yeah,
have
we need to get out of
tension
this
for the-
shipping lane. So let's get the engine going, and then we'll get you your extra ration of rum, Mr. Bell.
Ho ho! I imagine it'll be tots of rum all around.
Brilliant work. Smash cut 2. We are back in the warehouse. The safe is kind of sat in the middle of this room. Edvard, would you like to crack it yourself, or will you have the...
No, I think
SNM?
the submersible mechanical man should learn. Should
Yeah.
practice on the real one.
Has already been taught. So under your sort of guidance and watch, the SMM expertly cracks this. It doesn't really take expert cracking. It's a top of the line Astor safe, but we all know what that means.
Baby lock for babies.
Yeah, exactly. The door swings open like that. Inside, kept bone dry. Well, no, I mean, it is an Astor safe, so slightly damp but not ruined. Are piles and piles of papers and documents and journals. And as you sort of spread them all out on the floor and go through them, a few things jump out. One is a schematic. It shows a huge contraption. The schematic itself is very old. It's on old paper. And at the bottom in the corner is an Astor signature, but not Amadeus's signature. It's an old one. It must be an Astor from generations prior. And the schematic shows a circular machine, like a huge octagonal ring. Looking at the scale, it must be 7 stories high, something like that. A truly shocking piece of engineering.
I would be truly shocked if I understood any of it.
Yeah, to you it just looks like a big like octagon sort of ring.
You know, yeah.
Edvard, you are going to want to spend a great deal more time studying these schema.
I've never seen anything like this.
And figuring out exactly what they mean. There is also, beneath this schematic, a fresher sheet, a piece of paper. It is a list. It is headed, "In case of emergency." It has a doodle on the top of a light bulb, which you recognise as being very similar to the light bulb you saw on the ring that Astor was wearing. And on this list are about a dozen handwritten names, and next to the names, positions, ranks, titles. Some names you don't recognise, some you know by reputation. Some of these names are members of the city council. Kellyanor of the Dimmer Sisters is on there. Amadeus Astor's name is on there, and next to it in brackets it says me.
Sort of thing he has to remind himself of. Very
Exactly.
stupid, man. Very stupid.
And as you both hungrily scan this invaluable document, both of your eyes leap to one name in particular. An Earl Montgomery Fortescue.
Uncle Monty! Uncle Monty's on here! Wonderful. That old bastard. Love him.
Your uncle is part of the Illuminati.